Hey, welcome to another edition of Open Dialogue. Today we're talking about the Mosaic Film Experience. It's an exciting program that's been in Grand Rapids now. I think it started in like 2012, but we have Skot Welch and we have Maraiah Barrera. They're two outstanding people that worked with. Skot is the founder, and we're going to have to start out and ask Skot, how did you start this? Where did this come from?
Sure. Well, it's great to be here. It started literally in a Panera Bread on a napkin. My friend asked me, we were just having our quarterly get together. He said, hey, he was at Celebration at the time. He said, what would you do if I gave you some blank screens? And I said, that is a very, very strange question. It was kind of random. And so, but the idea just didn't leave me. And I said, okay, blank screens, that's interesting because that's a big opportunity. Mm-hmm. I said, well, blank screens are a platform. I don't necessarily need the platform, but who could benefit from it if I could use it? And I thought of our young people coming up in a public education school home where my mom was principal in education and teacher. And so I just thought about the screen could be used for young people to show as a platform for their insights and understanding. Mm-hmm. And then I called a meeting of the 15 busiest people that I could think of because I knew they wouldn't have time, and they all showed up. I'm like, okay, this is different too. So I just talked for about 10 minutes about what I believe about our young people and how amazing I think they are and what they can give and how I think sometimes they're underestimated. And when I got off my soapbox, so to speak, they were like, okay, let's go. I'm like, I did not want to hear that, but that's what happened. And then first 3 years, it was for people, for young people around the world. It was actually high school, college, and what we call non-paid professionals. So that was first year. We had 25 films from around the world, but by year 3, we had 750 films from 46 countries. But they were 12-minute formats. Too long, and I don't want to burn my team out. So I'm like, we're not going to do this again. So I called everybody together, said we're going to break it because we had 750 films and only 2 from West Michigan. And that bothered me because I'm from here, public school and everything. And so they came up with the idea. They're like, you know what if we did mobile? I said, I think you're onto something. Let's follow that out. Year 4, we started with mobile, and the rest has just been history. That is, because mobile film, far more young people have mobile phones than they have red cameras, right? And so this sort of democratized and made accessible this opportunity for more young people, which is that's our focus. That's where we are now, 15 years later.
Wow, and that's how Maraiah came along.
Yes,
she's one of your former students.
Yeah.
Maraiah, how did you get involved with this program?
Yeah. Well, as Skot mentioned, I too was a public school student here in Grand Rapids. It was around when I was in the beginning of my high school time, I started attending an after-school arts program called West Michigan Center for Arts and Technology. It's a free after-school program for public school students here in Grand Rapids, and so I started taking a photography class there. And one day, an upperclassman messaged me or emailed me and said, hey, the principal told me about this video project, filmmaking thing. It wasn't really clear what it was. That's going to happen at WMCAT. They're looking for students at our school who might be excited to make a video with the team. Are you interested? And at that point in my life, I think I was excited to be creative, and I was willing to just say yes to anything that could allow me to be creative. So I said yes, and I showed up to WMCAT on a Friday, which is when I typically didn't have classes. And there were a couple people there. There was representatives there from Mosaic Film Experience, a local production company, Gorilla. They had some representatives there, and then another one, Cut Carbon Stories. And basically, there was a room of young people, and they said, in Grand Rapids, the mayor has this environmental initiative where they want to plant more trees in Grand Rapids, and they're looking for young students to create a public service announcement to talk about this initiative with the community, to basically make a commercial that could be, played on TV or on the news stations, things like that. And so I was like, wow, this sounds cool. And that's how I met the Mosaic team. And I think the really cool thing about that is, our first meeting was learning about the project and meeting other GRPS students. But they sent us home with the assignment of, okay, you know what the concept is. Now come up with your own idea. How would you make a video for this initiative? And I went home and I probably hand wrote like 5 pages of this really deep story that I wanted to tell about the importance of trees. And we came back to our next meeting, and they had every student sit around a table and read off their idea to all of these, film and media professionals in the community. And so I confidently read my 5-page story, which looking back reads more like an actual short film that would require a lot of money. And I read it, and, I got the feedback from some of the professionals, like, this is a really great concept. We don't have the resources for that in this project, but, like, we love where your head's at and your creativity. And at the end of the meeting, they basically paired up students with different professionals for the actual film that we are making and said, we'd like you to be the director. You seem to have that that vision, so we'd like you to be the director. And then from that point on, we went through the process. I was mentored by a professional film director here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And by the end of our shoot day, I remember, when I went through the whole process of what is it like to go through a whole production as a director, I remember at the end of the day, I was like, I loved this, and I feel so at home doing this, and I want to pursue it. And so from that day forward, I decided I want to be a filmmaker, and learning about Mosaic, that was my first foray into actually making that a reality, because I saw they had a film competition, and I immediately entered it. That had to be months after this wrapped, and I immediately just got started. And yeah, that's kind of how my relationship with Mosaic began.
And how did you do?
Yeah, and I ended up winning first place
All right.
my first year. And having that sense of just like, I wouldn't say approval, but of just encouragement from adults around me, just from winning the competition. It further reaffirmed that I wanted to do this, and I just continued making films.
So isn't it amazing to have that kind of motivation?
Absolutely.
And that kind of, from this program, Scott. So you guys do this for Grand Rapids schools right now? And
Yes.
how's that going? You've been doing it.
Yeah, well, now we have reached over 50,000 students. We serve Kent ISD and GRPS.
Okay.
Right, and so that's what we've been doing locally every single year, and now it's expanding geographically to other communities too, because we designed this, and I wanted this to be a template for other communities to adopt it, so they can actually resource their young people, and so that's how it just kind of is growing and moving to other places now.
So because I'm a little bit older,
Sure.
when I got into this business, when I was a kid, I knew I wanted to work in television.
Wow.
But I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Right.
So this
Right.
gives kids the opportunity to work and
It
learn.
really does.
So, and Maraiah is one of you got some, do you have some other students that?
Yeah, they're always. I mean, they're students coming through every single year, and and again, we just got back on Sunday from Detroit. That was our national competition with Newman's Own Foundation, the Paul Newman Foundation, and young people came from 9 states, all over the place. And we spent time with our collaborators with Creative College, College for Creative Studies, and Newman's Own, of course, and the Skillman Foundation, and the Henry Ford, and the young people just had a day, and with their plus ones, because we fly in 2 people, their plus ones had a day and a half of just experiential learning, show their films at this massive, beautiful theater on the Henry Ford Greenfield Village. And so, yeah, it just continues to grow. So we want to just reach out and allow other students, other educators, other organizations that want to have the perspective of young people in the forefront. That's where Mosaic, I believe, is really an asset to any community.
So did you ever dream that this would get this big? I mean, it's blown way up if you want to think
It's
about
funny because it's not like I set goals for it. I just said, let's just be really, really focused on serving young people.
Okay.
And I think that was where it's you can't argue with what we do in the sense of our focus is young. It's to serve young people. So we're constantly adjusting every single year. We're pivoting. We're asking our students, what can we do better? Who can we bring in? And so I had no idea that it would be like this, but I'm comfortable with it. But I always knew that it was going to grow. I didn't know that it was going to end up overseas, and it's done that now too. Maraiah was a part of that, and it continues to grow, and we're just like as many communities as we can share. We want to do that.
So like I grew up in Muskegon Heights.
Yeah.
Can we get to Muskegon Heights?
Yeah. We just met with them.
Okay, because there are a lot of
3
kids
weeks ago
that are creative.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they need to be able to do something that, other than, on the streets. So this is a thing that keeps them out the streets.
Right. Right.
So Maraiah, what do you have your own company now?
Yeah. I want to kind of go back to what you were just talking about in terms of just why it's important for young people. I think that's one of the things that really impacted me more than, winning the prize and being able to buy my first camera lens with the prize money. There's real tangible things like that. But I think there's also some things that can sometimes be difficult to measure until you see a young person 5 to 10 years out from winning. And for me, growing up when I was in high school, when I was, actively a part of Mosaic's programming, I also was simultaneously dealing with a lot of adversity in my life, just, where my family comes from. My family we were born and raised in Saginaw, Michigan before moving to Grand Rapids. And, we dealt with a lot of things that young people deal with, like not having access to different types of opportunities in your community, gang violence, poverty. That's like how I grew up. And then when I came to Grand Rapids, I was dealing with similar things in my community. Specifically, when I was in high school, my family was dealing with housing insecurity. And I went through a period of time where the only outlet I had for something positive in my life was creativity. And I think people underestimate the power of creativity to be a lifeline for a lot of students who don't have anything else to rely on. And so that's one thing that I always think is worth mentioning when it comes to Mosaic, is that it's more than, providing the prize and even opportunity, but it's really providing like a lifelong empowerment that students can use to go beyond their communities and possibly beyond, the things that them and their family have been able to accomplish. So yeah, that's something that's like super important to me when it comes to talking about Mosaic, is like what it can do beyond the measurable.
And it just makes you feel great. And when you are creative and you get a chance to create something, even if you don't win, it's just good to be there. And you meet other kids and you learn the importance of working together.
Yeah,
because a lot of the projects, some of them you do it as a team, right?
Yeah, it's collaborative.
And you learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the power of helping young people monetize. And I'll look at that mobile device and say, you can monetize this. And so for our event, which is actually coming up on November the 5th at Celebration North, we've got workshops also. So we bring in people from the West Coast that are very, very involved in a lot of the biggest films. We have, in fact, someone coming from Michael this year. The costume designer, Marcy's coming this year. We got folks that do all kinds of amazing sports videos for Nike and everything. And so they come here to spend time talking to young people, but it's really not simply just about, this great sizzle reel, because that just gets the attention of the young people. What they really talk about is accountability, follow through, integrity, grit, those types of things. And then we have our local professionals, because I believe that our young people should be able to run into their heroes in our grocery store. And so we have our local professionals here also doing these amazing workshops. We added financial literacy last year. We do game design. We do marketing from your mobile device. We do all kinds of really cool stuff. And that's the point. As Maraiah said, I always say, it's not about the next Spielberg or Spike Lee. It's about the next great citizen, the next great leader, the next great prop thinker, right? Innovator, whether employee or employer. But it's really about helping just a person to discover that they have something else that they can work on, and storytelling and problem solving are transferable skills in any industry that you might find yourself.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to take a little break, and we're gonna come back and talk a little more, and we're going to get deeper into the Mosaic Film Experience.
Cool.
What do we see? We see a world where access to creative thinking is access to power. Where mobile filmmaking levels the playing field for entry to digital storytelling and meets students where they live. Where every voice has the opportunity to tell their own unique story because we all have something important to say. We see a world where students come together to solve creative challenges, where teachers, parents, and advocates help students find their voices and imagine what's possible. Look around. The students of today are the ones with the new ideas. Rather than fear failure, they should do the unexpected. Let's equip them for lives of impact in their schools, in their communities, wherever they go in life. Because we need more than to see a better world. We need our students to create it.
All right, welcome back. We just saw this fantastic video, and this is the vision of Mosaic Film Experience. Now, Maraiah was in it. Maraiah, just tell us how you felt when you did that video that won.
Yeah. Man, so it's really cool because in that video you see a clip of me when I was younger, and earlier when I was talking about, that very first day where I had that moment and decided that I wanted to be a director, that was the moment. That was me in the very beginning of my day as I was coming to that realization. I think that video just, it really exemplifies everything I talked about just what Mosaic does to empower young people. And, when I won for the film that I submitted the very first year, I'll never forget how that felt. Again, as I mentioned, just that confirmation and that encouragement from other people, not just adults, but also being in a room of other young people who, got to share that moment with me. And I think, too, thinking back to what I created my first video about, I was talking about what it felt like to be a young person in my community and in the world, in America at that time. And so I think Mosaic, part of what they did by allowing me to win that award was also, allowing me to speak about and make films about what I want to make films about. I think when you're young, you have an idea of what people want to hear from you. And, maybe I should enter this, or maybe I shouldn't express myself too much in this way. But they really let me express myself exactly how I wanted to. And that just gave me so much confidence moving forward in the future.
I would just say this multiplies Maraiah times 1,000 because there's so many kids that get involved with this. And even if they don't win, you got to be happy with your production. And you learn and you grow. I imagine there's several people out there that's going to come back to Skot and say, "Thank you, Skot," if that's already not happening. But you got your own business now, Maraiah. What do you do?
Yeah, so I have a creative production company with two of my siblings called Break Barriers. It comes from our last name, Barrera, which in Spanish stands for a barrier. And growing up, we experienced a lot of barriers when it came to life, but also our art pursuits. And so our whole philosophy is telling stories about individuals just like our family who've broken barriers. And so we create anything from documentary short films all the way to social media content for brands. Really, we just hope to uplift underrepresented voices and narratives. And one of the projects I'm most proud of that I was able to work on with my siblings a few years ago is a short documentary I made about my family and our experience, my dad and my uncle's experience with incarceration and brotherhood throughout their life. That was my first time making a documentary short film, and I created it my first year in college, and that really opened up a film career to me in a way I never would have imagined, because I created this film out of just a deep conviction for the story, and it turned into so many different opportunities, like playing at film festivals and college universities all across the United States, being used in classrooms.
What's the name of it?
It's called Still Here.
Yes.
It's called Still Here, and it's a short documentary film. And yeah, it's been awesome to see how just creating that film and using my family's personal story has just opened up a career in film to me and storytelling. And so, that's something I'm incredibly proud of. And now my siblings and I are trying to figure out how we can harness our creative energy as a family and continue to tell stories that inspire and encourage people who come from backgrounds like us. Okay. But also for people who come from completely different contexts, we hope that through storytelling, we're able to connect them and pull them in a way that maybe they wouldn't expect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Skot, where to next? I mean, we've grown, you're growing, and it's like you're growing. What's next?
We desire just to reach more young people. And when I say our kids, I really mean that. So now we're looking at in rural neighborhoods as well. Wherever we can go, wherever our young people need an outlet, where we can actually provide something positive for them, we want to go. And so whenever a community is interested, we want to, of course, we, got to get funding either with that organization or, collectively, but we want to serve more kids. And so the whole idea, of course, the local event that happens every year. Then there's the Newman Zone, the Nourishing Narratives that happens nationwide, and then Namibia, Southern Africa as well. But I do think that within that are different opportunities to serve more kids and to empower leaders in the community to have their own Mosaic Film Experience. Right? They can license the IP and do their own. We will come and support them. So we just want to see it spread.
So like you say, you were in Detroit, and they said it was people from all over the country, not all over the world, not just the country.
This year, the Nourishing Narratives, they were from 9 states this year in Detroit that we just finished. But of course, as Maraiah was involved in her sister, we have a relationship with the country of Namibia, which is just north of South Africa. And so teaching workshops to young people from here over there. And so we plan on doing a larger event over there in 2027.
Okay, so I'm a kid, and I hear about this.
Yes.
How do I get involved?
It's real easy. You go to the website, mosaicfilmexperience.com. You do contact, boom, and it's going to say info at Mosaic Film Experience, which actually comes to me. And then, in fact, and my cell phone's on there. I'm like, I want folks to be able to reach me. And so that's it. And then we plug them into our program manager, and then Liz kind of takes it from there. And if they want to volunteer, that's another person, and they just kind of come into it. We try to make it really, really easy and very user-friendly.
So you guys have mentors to work with the individuals?
Yeah, I mean, we also, once a friend of Mosaic, you're always a friend. And so even when our young people come back and say they might need this or a letter or a call or something, we really try to do that too. So our young people are mentored. And again, some of them, they're not into making film. But the point is at some point in time, we had some influence in their trajectory, if whatever they do. And so, but we make ourselves available, mentoring students around editing or, whatever that might be.
Yeah, it's so many different opportunities.
Yeah, and so we really want to help young people.
Okay. All right. So, Maraiah, you got anything that you would want to leave our students with?
Yeah. So I think, when talking about how to get involved with Mosaic, everything Skot mentioned, just like reaching out, seeing what programs are going on and what's available. But I think just in general, something that Mosaic taught me that I think has just allowed me to find success and find opportunities, specifically in film and media, but it goes for any industry that students are interested in, is what you may view as your disadvantages will end up being the thing that becomes your advantage and your unique gift. And what I mean by that is, as I mentioned, when I was younger and I knew I was interested in telling stories, I didn't have the fanciest camera. I didn't have, even the fanciest phone, but Mosaic told me what you have now is exactly what you need, and work really hard with what you have, and you never know what will happen. And so for me, that meant making films and music videos on my phone with my friends and just using the resources I had. And, what I once used to view as that was my disadvantage, I don't have what other young people might have around me. It ended up being the thing that gave me my unique sense of storytelling. It taught me how to solve problems, taught me how to just be more creative. So I would just tell any young person that everything you need, you have, and learning to work with the resources you have is what is going to exponentially increase your opportunity and increase your success, whether you want to be a filmmaker or anything else. And so just to not feel discouraged by that, but to lean into it and know that there are people in your community who are rooting for you. And if you seek out the opportunity to be connected with them, they will be there to support you. And Mosaic is just one example of that.
It is. It is. I'm so excited with this program, and I can't
Yes.
wait to see what happens this year. We have. I looked at your list of the board. You have some great people from all over the country on the board. I mean, I know that I saw Alex Hodges.
Aldous Hodge, yeah.
Okay, he's the actor from Alex Cross on TV.
You're right. You're right.
And he's been in several things before, and
Yeah.
he's been in a lot of movies. So it's great for people to see those type of people and see that they are willing to help.
Yes.
And the contacts that you get from meeting these people, and plus leading to working with Skot. You know, Skot's. I am so impressed with this Skot, because when I saw Miranda, who has some of your stuff on,
Yeah.
and I said, that's Skot. I remember Skot when he was just a young guy.
That's where roam the hallways of TV.
But anyway,
As an intern.
I am honored to have you guys on the show today, and I wanted to say, if Skot, if you had any last words that you wanted to leave for people.
You know, I would say, again, to echo Maraiah, and that is, we really want to make opportunities accessible for folks. And what they need, they do have. And our goal, what we do is at Mosaic, there's a couple things. I just say, you know, first of all, we play well with others as a collaborative organization, and we want to equip our young people lavishly, right? And so when we have our event, we just encourage people to show up on November the 5th. It's, you know, normally they go through their teacher and their class, but we've had some folks that said, well, my school district is too small, or my teacher's not coming. We just ask that they get a chaperone and someone to come and be there with these hundreds of young people. And it's just always a great, great opportunity. And the people that are in the industry that fly in, they're just walking around, you know, just like everyday people, as they are, as I say, like normal earthlings, and they just are a part of it. So one of the quick stories is that a couple of years ago, we had a friend of ours, Jane Feldman, who was just a renowned photographer and has worked with Annie Leibovitz as her contemporary, different Rolling Stones and things. She actually photographs these luminaries like the Dalai Lama, Mandela before he passed, Bishop Tutu. She's met him like 25 times. Richard Branson. But she came and talked to the students one year, and there was a young lady that was outside that was on her way to school to photography school, design and photography school, one of those. And then Jane met her in the hallway, and then they exchanged numbers. And so when the young lady got out there to go to school, Jane sent me a picture, and there they were. Oh, wow. And Jane is so well networked in New York City. And so she just took her around, introduced her, asked questions, took her out to lunch. And so it's that kind of thing that we really love to see happen.
All right. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming in today, and I'm so pleased to have had you, and we need to do this again.
Let's do it.
So once again, thank you for watching, and hopefully you'll get involved with the Mosaic Film Experience. If you're a youngster, go to the website, and we're going to put that up again, and get involved.